Bonjour tout le monde. It is week 30 of my Learn French in a Year challenge. Anyone who's been watching from day one at the beginning of the year in January will know that I am really enjoying studying with movies and TV shows. It feels like I'm not studying. I just love TV and movies anyway, so it's a perfect fit. So today I want to share with you my top 3 TV shows for learning French that I've discovered this year so far. So before I show you the top 3 shows, and they all happen to be on Netflix, I want to share with you how I study. I first make a lesson with the show script using the LingQ browser extension. Then I study the lesson, translating and linking the words and phrases that I don't know, make sure I have the gist of what's going on. And then I watch the show as soon after as I can so that it's fresh in my mind. And as a low intermediate learner, I'm finding this works. There are some times when I don't understand what's going on the screen, but it's never really a big problem. I might make a mental note and then go back to the script afterward, but usually I don't. I just go with it and enjoy the show as best I can. It's great for listening and reading as you're reading the subtitles. I can't watch without because my listening isn't quite there yet, but I'm finding this a really useful and fun way to study French. So show number 1 is Zone Blanche, or the title in English is Black Spot. There are 2 seasons of this show on Netflix, and episodes are about an hour long, so we're pretty long episodes. It's great. It is a crime thriller, supernatural horror show. Definitely keeps you guessing, and there is a theme throughout. I mean, each episode there's a new kind of crime. The crime rate in Villefranche, which is the town where there's a black spot, there's no communication, is 6 times higher than the average in France. And so something weird is going on there. There's a new murder mystery every episode, but the running theme keeps you guessing and is quite interesting, I think. So yeah, I highly recommend that. The actors are really easy to fall in love with. The lead, the woman who plays Lorraine, is fantastic. And also another character that stood out was the character of Frank Siriani. He's just an excellent actor. I've seen him in a couple of other French shows on Netflix as well. And he really does a great job with that character who is allergic to everything, afraid of everything, and really cute and funny. But he has passed, as most of us do. It's great. I recommend it. And I didn't find it. I watched it near at the beginning of the year, so my French wasn't where it is now. But I didn't find it too difficult to link. There are some conversations that were quite lengthy, I guess, and I maybe had a bit of trouble understanding them when I was watching the show, but very entertaining, very entertaining show. And it got 94%. It's actually not on Rotten Tomatoes. I trust Rotten Tomatoes most when it comes to critics, but there is no Rotten Tomatoes rating for this, which is surprising to me. But Google users, 94% of Google users like the show. I don't know if you respect that, but it's a high number, that's for sure. But yeah, nothing on Rotten Tomatoes, unfortunately. Zone Blanche, great show. Show number 2, also on Netflix, is Lamont. Now, this show got 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, pretty decent. It is a miniseries, so just the 1 season. It is a crime thriller about a serial killer copycat. So Lamont, which means the mantis, she is a famous serial killer in France. Someone is copying exactly the way she murdered her victims, and so she is asked to help the police in finding this murderer. It is really well done in terms of the level. I found in this show there were lots of back and forths with a lot of dialogue, and so I got lost out of these three shows. I got lost the most in Lamont, but it wasn't enough to frustrate me enough to turn the show off. I did really enjoy it. It just, as I said, I'm a low intermediate French learner. It was tougher than the other shows in this list, but worth it. I recommend. The third show on my list is a show that I recently finished, and it's called Marianne, again on Netflix. This show got 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is an excellent score, and I'm amazed to discover recently, I was just reading about it online, that they've cancelled it, which I was surprised by. I thought they'd definitely do another season. So unfortunately, there's just one season on Netflix and they won't be doing another one. It is a horror show, and it's also darkly funny at times, but it's quite scary, actually. If you love horror, this is definitely for you. There are a lot of those cheap jump scares, which I find quite fun, but maybe too many. It's kind of exhausting at times. This is a hot tip for horror fans, just plug your ears, because a lot of the jump scare comes with the sound. So I was doing a lot of watching with my ears covered, because Marianne is not to spoil it, a witch, and the show centers on a writer who is possessed, basically, by this witch. I don't think that's giving too much away. And she writes, what she writes comes true, and awful things that she writes, because she writes horror fiction. It's an interesting idea, and like I said, there are some funny moments, some really weird, it's a really odd show, but again, great acting, and yeah, well worth being jump scared constantly for the end, which I enjoyed. But yeah, they won't be doing another season, so it's a bit of a bummer. In terms of the level, I don't know if it's because I watched it most recently, and of course I'm learning more and more as the months go by, but I found this a lot quicker to get through as a lesson on LingQ. The episodes are shorter than other shows that I've watched, so obviously that counts. They're between 30 and 45 minutes long, so not a full hour episode. But yeah, I found it a bit of a breeze to link through the lessons, the episode lessons on LingQ. So simpler language used, I guess. There is a lot of silence because it is a horror show, so there's a lot of tension building, but yeah, overall really enjoyable to watch. In terms of my progress on LingQ outside of watching TV shows, in my last video I mentioned that I'm now talking to a tutor on LingQ. I have had now, I believe, 4 lessons, and they have gotten better. I had only had 1 lesson when I made my last video, and I mentioned that it was nerve-wracking. I forgot a lot. I was thinking of Japanese words and phrases instead of French. In the lessons with Cathy, my tutor on LingQ after that, I did a little better, but also I found we choose topics before we chat, and I find that much better. I can prepare and think of some questions for her, because I'm a low-level learner in terms of speaking output. I feel almost that I should wait a little. Steve Kaufman, LingQ co-founder and polyglot, suggested to me that I wait, when I started this French learning journey, that I wait until I have 10,000 known words. Well, I'm at almost 7,000 now, so perhaps I jumped the gun and started speaking a little too early. So I'm going to maybe give it a break now for a bit and really focus on getting myself to a level where I can converse more easily, because it's just a half-hour lesson, but it's very difficult. And I managed to say in the last lesson that my son, who had a broken foot, I wanted to say his cast. So his like plaster on his foot was cut off, but I managed to say his foot was cut off. The look of horror in her face, it was quite funny. But yeah, lots of mistakes. That's all part of the process, and it's fun. And you have to be able to make fun of yourself and just make mistakes and be okay with that in this process, I know. But I think moving forward, I'm going to take a little break on the chatting with a tutor and really try and work on my speaking so that I'm good to go with the phrases, with the just basic structures. That is it from me. I hope you enjoy those shows. If you do, try them. If you do, please let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear what you thought about them. I will see you next time.